Welcome to the Critical Thinking Literacy Channel's series on power in the mind. Today, we resume where our episode 4.1 left off, the rise of the algorithm of outrage. I'm Dr. John Balla, Chief Content Creator. Let's get started. In the mid-1990s, the internet did not simply add a new distribution channel to the existing media ecosystem. It severed 40,000 years of gatekeeper continuity. Prior to the internet, 4 precepts controlled who could speak to a mass audience. They were: 1. Physical and financial barriers. Expensive infrastructure requirements ensured that only the privileged few with both the technical know-how and financial backing could broadcast. 2. Regulatory licenses issued by the FCC. 3. TV commercials as a revenue model. And 4. The big three of ABC, CBS, and NBC were not expected to be profitable. And they weren't. Each company viewed the news coverage as an obligation to serve the public good. Worth underscoring, all 4 of these parameters either disappeared or became irrelevant within a decade of the arrival of the commercial internet. So what replaced them? Enter the social media algorithm. The old gatekeepers were motivated by audience share, serving the public good, and journalistic excellence. The new gatekeeper is motivated by one thing: time on that platform, often referred to as eyeballs or engagement. Now, let's follow the money. Look at what happened to newspaper advertising revenue between 2000 and 2024. It fell from nearly $49 billion to under $9 billion. That is an 82% collapse in the economic foundation of print journalism in 24 years. Meanwhile, digital advertising grew to over $225 billion. Notice that the money did not disappear. It just moved to Google, to Meta, and to other digital platforms. And the content that attracted that advertising moved with it. Since its commercial inception in the 1990s, the internet has spawned 4 structural changes. First, the death of geographic information monopolies. Local newspapers once had a captive market. Today, 3,500 have gone out of business over the past 20 years. Second, the disintermediation of journalism. Anyone can now publish to a global audience without a journalist, an editor, or a fact-checker in the chain. This is what happens when the gatekeeper stops using journalistic standards in favor of engagement. More on this in a moment. Third, the personalization of the information diet. Algorithm-driven feeds mean no 2 people see the same information environment. And fourth, the algorithm of outrage. Content that generates the most anger and anxiety generates the most revenue. Algorithm is one of those words that gets thrown around constantly by politicians, by journalists, by people who are genuinely alarmed and people who are genuinely dismissive, and almost nobody stops to define it precisely. So let's do that right now. The algorithm is a set of human-written rules, optimized for a specific goal such as engagement, shaped by whoever built it, and a revamping of the gatekeeper paradigm. And here's what an algorithm is not: neutral or objective, intelligent or self-aware, but fakes it well, tethered to journalistic standards, motivated to serve the public good. So let's use the social media example. The process is very linear and simple. There are inputs comprising your online behavior and history. Those inputs are fed into the algorithm, in this case, a set of rules optimized for engagement, which produce outputs that align with your preferences, biases, and beliefs with the singular goal of keeping you engaged. In other words, the algorithm creates engagement to prime you for further transactions, be it monetary, freely offering personal information, and sometimes both. That's it. The whole definition and workflow. It is not magic. It does not think. It does not care about you or anything for that matter. It is largely a confirmation bias engine. A very fast, very powerful, very consequential one, built by people, for a purpose the average user does not understand. And here is the part that matters most. The old gatekeepers, ABC, CBS, NBC, were motivated by audience share, serving the public good and journalistic standards. They were imperfect, but they had a mission that extended beyond profit. The new gatekeeper, the algorithm, is motivated by one thing only: engagement. To keep you watching, scrolling, clicking, reacting for as long as possible. That is the goal. Everything else is secondary, including the truth. Content that generates the most anger and anxiety generates the most revenue. This is not a metaphor. It is a business model. Here's how the algorithm becomes an outrage generator. When you react to something, when you feel angry, afraid, morally threatened, you engage. You click, you comment, you share. You stay on the platform longer. That engagement is exactly what the algorithm is optimized to produce. So it learns very quickly that content which triggers those emotions keeps you on the platform longer than content that informs, educates, or challenges you. That engagement drives advertising revenue, and the advertising revenue funds more of the same content. The loop is self-reinforcing. There is no external break. There is no editor in this system asking whether a piece of content is true, fair, or good for the public. The only question the system asks is, did it generate engagement? A study published in the journal Science found that misinformation spread 6 times faster than true stories on social media platforms. 6 times. The researchers attributed this to what they called novelty bias, the tendency to share information that feels new or surprising because sharing it makes people feel special, in the know, and ahead of the curve. Note the active verb feel. So, what can you actually do about this? I want to end with something concrete, because everything we have covered in this episode could easily leave you feeling like the system is too large, too entrenched, and too profitable to push back against. And structurally, that concern is legitimate. The algorithm of outrage is a multi-billion-dollar business model with no meaningful regulatory accountability. No individual can dismantle it. No one needs to. What individuals need is to reduce their influence on their own thinking and behavior, and that is entirely achievable. The tools exist, they are evidence-based, and they do not require anything except the decision to use them. Here are my top 7. Solution 1, the 3-second pause. Before sharing any piece of content, pause and ask one question. Is this making me angry or afraid right now? If the answer is yes, that emotional activation is your signal, not to share, but to verify. Kahneman's research tells us that System 1 fires first, and System 2 is lazy. It does not engage unless you deliberately invite it to. The pause is what sends that invitation. It takes approximately 3 seconds. Research published in Psychological Science by Pennycook and Rand found that simply prompting people to think about accuracy before sharing reduced the spread of misinformation by over 50%. Solution 2, the return of the gatekeeper. The algorithm learns from your behavior. So if you change your behavior, the inputs that feed the algorithm, it will respond in kind. What I mean is deliberately engage with, like, comment, follow, sources you want more of, including sources that present perspectives you do not currently hold. Unfollow or mute accounts that consistently trigger outrage responses in you. This is not avoidance. It is active, informed curation. You are now the editor the algorithm removed. Solution 3. Apply lateral reading before you share anything. This is the technique professional fact-checkers use, and research shows it is dramatically more effective than reading a source deeply and then evaluating it. I like to call it front-loading. Before you read a source in depth, open a separate search and look up what others say about that source. Do not evaluate the claim first. Evaluate who is making it. The Stanford History Education Group found that professional fact-checkers consistently outperformed academics and students by using this method alone. It takes approximately 90 seconds. Solution 4. Steelmanning. Actively seek out at least one high-quality source that consistently disagrees with your existing views. not to be persuaded, to understand the strongest version of arguments you do not currently hold. This is called Steelmanning. It's the opposite of strawmanning, and the research on this is nuanced. Balla and colleagues at Duke found in 2018 that simply exposing people to opposing views on social media did not automatically change minds, and in some cases, entrenched existing beliefs further. The key word here is quality. High-quality opposing sources improve the quality of your own reasoning and reduces your susceptibility to manipulation. The goal is not to agree. It is to align your beliefs with the best information available. It also provides a check on confirmation bias. Solution 5. Understand the business model of every platform you use. Every platform you use has a revenue model. That model shapes everything the platform does. A platform funded by advertising is structurally optimized to maximize your time on the platform, not to inform you. Repeat, not to inform you. Such motives can be antithetical to civic health and well-being, and often are. Ask the question for every platform you use. How does this platform make money? The answer tells you whose interests it actually serves. Solution 6. Beware of breaking news. Breaking news is the highest risk moment in the information environment. The first reports of any significant event are systematically the least accurate. Good journalists will be upfront about that. Details are missing. Context is absent. And emotional activation is at its maximum. Vosugi et al.'s 2018 science study established that misinformation spreads fastest in the first hours after a breaking event, precisely when accuracy is lowest and emotional arousal is highest. A deliberate 24-hour delay before forming strong opinions about any breaking news story dramatically improves its reliability. This is not passivity, it is calibrated patience. Solution 7. Support structural and policy solutions. Individual behavior matters, but individual solutions are insufficient at scale. The algorithm of outrage is a structural problem, and structural problems require structural responses. Algorithmic transparency legislation, platform accountability frameworks, funding for public interest journalism, and media literacy education at the K-12 level. These are not abstract policy debates. They are the mechanisms by which the information environment either improves or continues to deteriorate. Informed citizens who understand these debates are better positioned to advocate for the solutions that actually work, including those raised here. Here is the core principle across all 7 of these solutions. The algorithm of outrage cannot be eliminated by any individual acting alone, but its influence on any individual can be dramatically reduced through deliberate, informed behavior. The tools exist. The research supports them. The only thing standing between you and a meaningfully clearer information environment is the decision, right now, today, to start using them. That is what System 2 engagement looks like in practice, and that is what this channel is here to help you build. In closing, the history of human communication is a history of power, and that's why we're here. No ideology, no dogma, no hidden agenda, no price tag. Just a response to a nagging question about how we could do more when our country needs us most. It's an inconvenient fact that democracies run on arguments, both good and bad. And right now, I cannot say with any confidence that we will weather this storm, because arguments that are long on anger, resentment, and outrage, and short on facts, evidence, and data are winning. And the score isn't even close. So if you find these videos valuable, providing tools and solutions you've been looking for, you can thank us by subscribing, liking, and sharing. Lastly, if you would like to request a particular video, just let us know in the comments. Until next time, I'm John Balla, reminding you to think critically and choose wisely.